Welcome to the Catholic Sun Spotlight. I'm Catherine Long, editor of the Catholic Sun, and today I'm joined by Deacon Dan Caughey, who will be ordained to the priesthood June 5th. Deacon Dan, thank you so much for being with us today.
Sure, nice to be with you.
So we're going to talk a little bit today about Deacon Dan and his journey to the priesthood. Let's start with a little bit of get to know you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Let's see. I'm going to be a priest soon, and I am looking very forward to that. Where should I start?
Where are you from?
Okay, I grew up in Cortland, New York.
Okay.
My
Native of the diocese.
Yep. My mom is still down there. I have two older brothers who are out of state. My home now is in Mexico, New York, up north, just south of Texas. And I went to school in Pope St. John the 23rd Seminary outside of Boston.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about discerning your call to the priesthood? You've had an interesting journey to get to this point.
That's true. Most recently, my discernment started soon after my wife died. My wife died in 2013, and I'm a permanent deacon rather than a transitional deacon. So obviously, things change. I was still working as a teacher in the middle school up in Mexico as a science teacher, and at that point, becoming a priest hadn't crossed my mind. So about a year later, my pastor asked me to consider becoming a priest. Hadn't crossed my mind, as I said, so I pretty much just blew that off. But another year later, he said the same thing. Would you consider becoming a priest? So he must have seen something in me that led him to think that would be something for me. So I did consider it. I did a lot of praying about it.
Sure.
And then started asking the right people.
Right.
And people in the parish started asking me the same question.
Mm.
So with talking with a lot of people, a lot of discernment, a lot of prayer, I did finally directly contact the diocese. But going way back when, you first think about it as a kid, or I did.
Sure.
After first becoming an altar boy, and my brothers are altar boys, and I got to be an altar boy, and that was very fascinating, being up, close to the priest and serving. Later on, friends of mine and I would talk about it,
Sure.
and then in college I got interested in the scripture, and that gave me more food for thought. Again, situations changed. I met my wife, Mickey, got married. That was, so that I discerned that.
Sure.
Yep, that's another vocation.
Absolutely.
A beautiful vocation. And that led me to my most recent discernment to become a priest.
Sure. So you served as a permanent deacon for how long?
Since 2004.
And what was the discernment process for that like? I imagine Mickey was a big
Yes.
big part of that.
Yes. She would have to be the deciding factor, as it would be for any permanent deacon.
Sure.
I was first approached by my pastor, and which I think just having it suggested, being asked to consider it by your pastor is, I think, a big factor.
Sure.
So in the same way, I considered it, thought about it, prayed about it, talked to my wife, Mickey, about it. So that led me to that decision.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And was it a challenge going back to school after so many years teaching school, or what was that leap like going to seminary?
Well, I wanted to see if I could do it.
Sure.
So I actually took a couple of courses down in Lemoyne first. By that time I was 50.
Right.
So I thought, well, if I'm going to really dive into it after all these years of since going to school,
Right.
I better make sure that I could.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a couple of philosophy courses at Lemoyne,
Mm-hmm.
and I did very well. And despite the teachers I had, and so that part worked. So
Good.
so I continued on.
Well, you've had quite an interesting road to get here. Looking ahead to your ministry as a priest, what kind of unique experiences and insight do you think you're going to bring to that ministry?
Well, I've been a teacher. I have no problems standing in front of people,
Mm-hmm.
even adults, children, adults. I work one-on-one with people very well, and talk in front of them, although being live,
You're doing great.
I mean, on camera. Let's see. I'm a very much a people person.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've been married, so I think that's a big plus. And I've gone through the experience of my spouse dying. I think that I can assist people going through that process,
Sure.
having been married, helping people get ready for marriage and living out their marriage. I'm not a father, but I've been a foster father for
Oh.
many years. We were foster parents for 10 years, probably had 15 children in the
Oh my
house,
gosh.
anywhere from 2 weeks to a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, mostly 10 to 18 years old,
Mm-hmm.
mostly. So I've got some of the experience in that I can bring to my parishioners as far as assisting them in any way I can.
Yeah.
And of course, I think like any of these guys will say, I have a strong love for the Lord, and I want to bring that care and love to my parishioners and get them to bring their faith up
Mm-hmm.
closer to the Lord,
Mhm.
and just be a role model for them.
Terrific. You are also taking this step toward the priesthood during kind of a challenging chapter for the Universal Church. How has that affected your formation, and how do you think it will inform your ministry going forward?
I am so looking forward to being with my parishioners. A lot of them have been away from church for so long now. I want them to find that it's time to come back. They're welcome to come back. It's nice that a lot of them are sitting in front of the TV watching Mass,
Mm-hmm.
but they're sitting there in front of the TV with a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm so glad that they are participating in the way that they can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's time to come back home and have that wonderful experience of praising the Lord with your church family. And anything I can do to help in that coming home and participating with your church family, I really want to be a big part of that, however I can. And whatever pastor I'm working with to start, whatever we can work together to do, I'd really like to help out with that. We need you, and really you need us together to make a good worship of the Lord.
Is that what you're looking forward to most in your ministry as a priest, or maybe I should ask, what aspect of ministry are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I'd say, it's a hard one. Really, it is, because
Yeah.
it engulfs so much.
Sure.
Using my abilities as a sacramental minister, I think will help anyone who's in the parish see that their worship of the Lord, the graces that are coming from the Lord, will bring them closer to the Lord. And if I can use my abilities, my just seeing the faith that I have in the Lord and how I project that,
Mm-hmm.
will help them to do the same. to grow, have their faith grow, help them project their faith in the Lord to the world around them, and hopefully bring us all to salvation.
Excellent. So you mentioned a couple of times folks, your pastor, your parishioners, asking you to consider a call to a vocation. So do you have any words of wisdom for a young person, or maybe not even, a high schooler who might be feeling like they have a call to a religious vocation of some kind? Any words of wisdom?
Let's see. Talk to people. It might not be a friend, although you might have a friend that has mentioned it to you too. A parent, your pastor, someone else that you know that is in that that vocation. If it's a sister, then talk to a sister, or a priest, or a deacon, someone that you know that is in that vocation, and they'll guide you. They might even say, "I don't think it's a good idea." It's possible.
Sure.
But most likely they will encourage you, or they'll encourage you in the ways that will help you develop your finding out if that's the way that the Lord is calling you. So, and it will take prayer. It is a prayerful endeavor. It's not listening with your ears, although it is, but it's listening with your heart. See where the Lord's taking you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. Please know that our prayers are with you as you head toward ordination. Be sure to read more about Deacon Dan in upcoming issues of The Catholic Sun and at thecatholicsun.com. Deacon Dan, thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome.